You create this thing and you're so excited about it, and then you have this moment where it's finally going out into the world, and seeing it on the big screen with you all today was really just really special. I was telling Larry I was trying hard not to sob in the theater.
I'm excited to tell friends and family and other people, like, just go catch it on Disney Plus.
My niece, at the time she was 12 when the idea came to me, we were in the car with my oldest child. I have 3 kids. And we were talking about our favorite things. So favorite movie, favorite restaurant, favorite food. And my kiddo asks my niece, what's your favorite book? And she got really quiet and didn't say anything for a minute. And I knew that she's dyslexic at the time, but my child didn't. And she said, I don't have a favorite book. I don't read well. And that sparked a whole series of questions from my child, who's very curious, by the way. And it was really incredible to me to watch her describe what dyslexia feels like for her. It's a spectrum, so there's so many different experiences, and this was one experience that we tried to represent on film.
The early stages is obviously for most younger people. You start with crayons, and then you go into this grade school, and you just have ruled paper available and pencils. And so that was kind of the inspiration for that. But once he graduates from college and tries to get gallery work, I have a lot of friends, and myself included, we tried some gallery, tried to make a living, but obviously it's really hard. And the instruction manual, that was a representation of kind of your working life stage. And it was the longest section. It went one style, because I feel like that's how I feel like your working life is your longest stage in life.
I talked about my experience working with Mark Henn. I mean, that really is like such the experience of a lifetime. But there was a creative choice of why we did that, because there was so much about on the paper that we wanted to create, that a sense of the dynamism and some of the comedic, joy that you get from hand-drawn animation, that it just lent itself to that medium, and that's why we chose to go down that path of having all the hand-drawn animation on the paper, and then the CG around it, which was technically very challenging. I mean, it has happened in some of our other films, but technically every time you do it, it's a little different and a little bit more of a challenge. But it was exciting to have someone like Mark Henn, who he's done everything. I saw Aladdin 13 times in the movie theater when I was younger, and so my goal was always to work here too. And when I got to work with the gentleman who animated Jasmine, it's really special.
And there's one time Howard brought Burny into the story room, Burny Mattinson, and I had that Mark Henn moment. I didn't know how to talk. But I pitched it. I didn't have a cut yet, so I just pitched it with a stick on the board. And he just said a few words, and it had a really huge impact.
The biggest challenge for sure was figuring out how to make sure that we could see dyslexia on the page and make it feel as dynamic as it would feel to an individual who experiences dyslexia. And so very, very early on, we brought in Key Swung from effects, an effects animator, who we said to him, here's the challenge, like this is what we want it to look like. And he went and I think I shared this before, but if I didn't, he went and just did some tests and tried to figure out how to do that, utilizing a system that would make it feel random, but actually was sort of automated. And he did all these special tweaks and unique things that made it look how it looked and how it builds and then comes back in terms of the volume of the letters switching around and moving, but it never actually goes away. So that was intentional, and he just did an amazing job. He consulted with a friend of his who is dyslexic, and just did a bunch of different things that got him to that place. The other challenge that we had is for a lot of the short, you're looking at a piece of white paper, which on a big screen, you saw today on a big screen, it's how do we make that dynamic and not feel static, and how do we integrate all the elements of the work that Mark Henn had done in 2D animation, which Brandon Block was a big part of that as well as Rachel Bibb, who did the cleanups on she did both storyboards and the cleanups. She did all the three of them working together to kind of make that happen on the page. Was, I think, they figured it out. It was very technically challenging, and I don't even understand all of the technical lingo, but we had the smartest people working on it, and that's what made it easy to work through.
And what I really wanted for them to try as well was like animate with the medium, especially for the hand-drawn ones. Animate with the medium that is supposed to be, and are they willing to try that? And what challenges that poses technically, like, you can't get charcoal dust on the scanners to, you know, scan each picture, and just getting their expertise on that. But they jumped right in and they did it. And Brandon Block, who's like the technical 2D kind of guy who makes sure everything works in the pipeline, was open to scanning the different types of mediums, and I think he may have to like wipe down the scanner once in a while as he's like taking pictures or scanning the images, but he was up for a challenge. And then, but in addition to that, once we got the animated imagery in, I wanted to kind of recreate the dust particles and pencil shavings and all that. So we couldn't just film that live or somehow get the real stuff in there. So for that stuff, we did it with CG, with like particle systems. And so the effects guys jumped in and did all the pencil shavings, charcoal dust, the pastel dust, and then also like the paint splatters and some other stuff.
Our music manager here at the studio, who manages all the music and all the productions, actually composed the music for both of our shorts. I had shared with Lauren Harold, who composed the music very early on, that I had kind of a crazy idea. I wanted two different lines of music, one for named Maddie, the little purple character on the paper, who had a kind of a jazz line to her, very improvisational, sort of in tune with the character, and one that was more for Maddie, the main character, which was like more orchestral, kind of cinematic music, and figure that out and like make it work. And then we had all of this amazing animation from Mark Henn on the paper, which sort of lent itself to her composition, but Lauren sort of stepped outside of her comfort zone, composed the music for us, and then actually directed the musicians. We had live musicians come and play on both projects actually.
From my very initial board, like one of these boards, I had the story, I had the style, and the third line was the music. And had a very intentional, like each stage of life had a different sound to it. Like starting with like a toy piano, ending with a toy piano, and then like rock music, orchestra, jazz, maybe during the college years or something like that. Which at the time, it was way too ambitious for a 3-minute short. But it was in my head, like this is how I wanted to sound. Because I knew I didn't have dialogue.
If the world could see what Amelia sees, we'd all be better off.
At the end, it's obviously the daughter's drawing now, starting her stage, her life.